Hey everybody, this is Alan Fine. I'm here with Brent Hill, the CEO of Tourism Fiji, and we are at the conference called
Fiji Tourism Exchange.
And you know what that means? It means we're learning about all sorts of products and things that you will probably want to tell to your clients. So stay tuned here on Insider Travel Report. So we've got to see you quite a bit at this conference, and let's review some of what you've told us. For example, let's talk about the growth and the expected growth.
Yeah, look, it's been amazing. Last year, 2023 was an incredible year for Fiji. We had a record number of tourists come here to Fiji. But, one of the beautiful things about that is, we're a long, long way from over-tourism. So while it's a record year, still you feel like you get this beautiful, pristine location.
But you're still protecting, which is part of what we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah, exactly. So from that perspective, we're getting, a lot of Americans. You can fly nonstop from, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Vancouver now. So, we're seeing the growth in American travelers considerably. It's really exciting.
Actually, they should stay tuned because we're talking to Fiji Airways as well about that fact that they are helping push this incentive and get people here. I mean, 70% of your travelers come by air.
Right, and the great thing about it is Fiji Airways are flying beautiful planes, brand new A350s. You can fly daily out of those destinations that I mentioned before. So, I think from that perspective, the connections are better. You fly overnight, so you land in the morning, which is fantastic. So I think for the North American customer, especially from the West Coast, it's so easy to get there. And when you look at it compared to, say, our other, comp set destinations, we think that Fiji's really got something to offer.
But also they're part of the alliance, so you can go from anywhere in the United States and make your way West Coast and come over.
That's true, yeah. So they have really good, partnerships, and there's more coming out as well. So, with things like, the massive partnerships with like AA and so on, which is really exciting. They've also got that in Canada. So, yeah, really, if you want to get from New York or Toronto and get across, it's really simple.
But we deviated. We were talking about the numbers and your projections for coming up. What are they?
Yeah, so we think that this year we'll probably end up around about a 4 to 5% growth on last year, which is, really, really strong. But the exciting thing is we've got capacity coming on the airline, so there's seats. And so the good news about that is that the flight sale prices are really good. So, getting over here is really good. And then the resorts are starting to come into play as well in terms of offering great deals. So the exciting thing from our perspective is now we've got to build more hotel rooms to put all those guys in.
Right. Which is part of the story and what we're doing here, talking about that. What part of the GDP is actually, what did you hit and what would you like to hit?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible in Fiji. It's around about the 38% mark. So tourism is just the big driver for Fiji. And then, of course, off of that comes, transport, logistics, all of those kinds of things, construction now as well. So, it is a massive driver. And I think that's one of the things that we would say to North American customers as well. When they come here, they might see a brand like Marriott or Sheraton on the door and think, okay, some of that money is going back to North America, but it's actually owned by Fijian companies, which is really great. So the money stays here and it's really growing and developing Fiji, which is awesome.
And of course, they're reflecting the local environment. I mean, they're not. It doesn't feel like you're in America when you're in these hotels.
No, absolutely. And I think, one of the great things about that is, some people might compare us to, say, like the Maldives. But I think one of the things that we've always said, when you come to Fiji, you'll meet Fijians. And that seems obvious, but unfortunately, when you go to a lot of destinations now, the staff that you're seeing will come from a multitude of countries, so that culture gets lost. The advantage in Fiji is we're so naturally great hoteliers. So you are going to see Fijian people from the minute you check in, when there's people playing, in the airport, all the way through to check in and then at your hotel. And I think that's the difference. When people say, why should I go to Fiji instead of Hawaii or the Caribbean, etc., the one thing that we have here is this wonderful culture of Fijians that will leave you just happy from the minute you get here to when you leave.
Let's talk about the demographics. You collect a lot of stats. So the demographics, the length of stay, the type of guest.
Yeah. So the great thing about it is we're seeing some really strong shifts Traditionally we've been a very strong family destination, a very safe destination. We have lots of great nannies and so on. But we are seeing a shift into that sort of 30 to 45 demo. We're also seeing the rise of the female traveller and the solo traveller. So female groups, females on their own. Now that says a lot, right? Because those guys are only going to go to a place that's safe, they feel comfortable in, that they can have fun. We've got some great product like reef platforms and beach clubs and so on, where people can have fun, but they don't feel intimidated in any way. So I think that's really exciting as well in terms of where we're going, in terms of what type of customer and tourist is coming and traveling to Fiji.
So the number was thrown around, 70% come by air, but cruise is now starting to grow. Let's talk about that for a bit.
Yeah, cruise is great, and for us, cruise is great because they come in shoulder season. So we're seeing more and more boats and bigger boats, and also the more luxurious boats as well that are coming, which is fantastic. The advantage with cruise is Fiji has 333 islands, right? So you get to go and see some incredible parts of Fiji. You can do some amazing day trips and so on. So look, we like cruise because a lot of people who do cruise, then they come back. It's something like 30 to 40% actually come back to
the intro.
Yeah. So
and who's coming? Which lines?
So we have Norwegian who are here. We have P&O. We have Royal Caribbean. Celebrity. We've got Seabourn. So we've got quite a few at the moment. And even some of those real luxury ones like Penant and so on are coming as well.
We're going to see more and more campaigns in North America, and you're very proud of your campaign. So let's talk about that, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. North America is such a big market, right? So you sort of go, well, how do you, first of all, tell people about Fiji, and then how do you, make a bit of a dent in that market and convince people that have only gone to maybe Mexico or Caribbean to come out to Fiji? So we work really closely with Fiji Airways. We've had some really innovative placements, places like Times Square, in LAX airport, downtown Toronto and Vancouver. Online we've done a lot, and then with Fiji Airways, they're offering great fares, right? So they're out there as well. So oftentimes you actually see destination, us, and then the airfare in terms of how to get there. Because as soon as you say to people in North America, do you know you can fly non-stop to Fiji from like LA, San Fran, Vancouver, and it's sub 1,000? They're like, oh, I thought it was like really expensive. And of course, the other thing is it's Fijian dollars, right? Mm-hmm. So the US dollar goes an awfully long way. So if you've got a product here which is $1,000 a night, Fijian, you're talking $450 USD. So you're going to get a seriously nice room, big room, incredible resort for not a lot.
Where happiness comes naturally.
Yeah, that's right. And we live that. Yeah.
Let's talk about social media though, also, and the website.
Yeah, so the great thing is from a trade perspective, the website is really a fantastic resource to find out everything you need to know about Fiji. So fiji.com.fj and also Tourism Fiji on our socials. The images speak for themselves. We are that absolute paradise that you sort of dream of. You think of the coconut palms, the beach, the sand, but also Fiji has this real depth. So when you look at other destinations, that might be all they've got, but we have this amazing sort of hinterland product, so waterfalls, trekking, highlands, etc., which a lot of people don't know about. So when you see our website and our socials, it will expand people's knowledge of really the depth of what Fiji has to offer.
But you're also like a magnet, attracting them with events. So not only is it beautiful, not only can you have a honeymoon or a destination wedding, but let's talk about some of these events you've attracted. Yeah,
that's true. So this year we're really excited. In August we have the World Surf League Fiji Pro, which will be here. We have one of the best waves in the world at Cloudbreak. It's kind of up there in the mythical status like Pipeline. So the great Kelly Slater is going to be here, which will be really cool. So we've got a 3-year contract to have that. So if you're into surf, you've got to come to Fiji. That's for sure. We also have a couple of other events in terms of things like rugby. We have this amazing event called Spartan, which is a mass participation kind of, test yourself, run up mountains, that kind of thing. I did it last year, almost died. It's brilliant. You've definitely got to do it. So we're becoming a bit more of an events destination, and certainly even if you know nothing about rugby or sport, going and seeing a rugby game in Fiji is like one of life's great experiences. There's dancing, there's yelling, it's so much fun, and really what happens on the field is kind of a part of it.
Now, you said we're far from worrying about sustainability, but what you are doing is you're attracting. Speaking of events and adventure tourism, you're attracting the locals to begin to have businesses that will then be something that guests would want to do. Let's talk a little bit about that enrichment that you guys are helping to have happen.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's really special here. That we work very closely with. Obviously the Fijian population to try and involve as many people as possible in tourism. With the greatest of respect, I've been to other destinations where it's like, come and see, X, person who's over here somewhere who's indigenous to that place. Whereas in Fiji, you are going to see, Fijians working in those kind of businesses all the way through. So the great thing is we've seen, just in the last 6 months, we've seen, e-bike trips come along. We've got, boat tours. We've got a full drive adventure. So there's some really great things to do to get people out of resorts and go and have fun. And they're run by Fijians, which is great.
Let's also talk about, I know travel advisors want to know about the hotels and the development, what's coming up.
Yeah, so I think, the good thing about Fiji is obviously you're going to have some consumers who go, I want to know a brand, I trust a brand, right? So the good thing is you've got Intercontinental, you've got Sheraton, you've got Marriott, you've got Crown Plaza. So you've got, some of those big name brands. And then in the luxury side, you've got Six Senses, you have Como. So some of those guys that go, I stay in branded hotels, they're here. We've got that. But the really exciting thing is that there's also a number that, if you dig a little bit deeper, there's some incredible opportunities of private islands and private hotels. And so Crown Plaza is one of those that's just opened this year. By August, that's going to have 324 rooms, which is really exciting. We also have the Westin that's reopening now. That's been delayed because they've actually ramped it up. So they want to be the best hotel in Fiji on the mainland. So that's pretty cool. That's going to be a 280 rooms.
Yeah, don't stop them. Let them do it.
And that's going to happen. So that's going to happen by the end of the year. So, one of the things is for the travel agents, we do have a program called MATI, MATAI, the MATI program. If you actually Google that and look that up, it's really cool resource for agents to go through and familiarise themselves with Fiji, and they'll tell you all about all those hotels.
Well, we're going out to 126,000 travel advisors. What's your message to them?
Well, you got to put Fiji on the list. And I think, Fiji is the emerging buzz destination. I think, for a lot of tourists who perhaps have been to Mexico, perhaps have been to the Caribbean, looking at what's next, where can I go? Fiji is that really authentic destination that, you can come back home. It's got the brag factor. It's like, yeah, wow, you went to Fiji. And you know what? I was watching The Fall Guy, the movie, the other day, and they told him, you got to get off to Fiji. So I'm like, well, if it's good for them, it's good for everybody, right?
All right. And then one more time, I know we mentioned it before, where should they be going to look for, what URLs should they be going to?
So Fiji.com.fj. Don't forget the FJ because we're in Fiji. Fiji.com.fj. And certainly on social media, Tourism Fiji on Instagram. Definitely give them a follow and you'll get really inspired.
Well, thank you for talking to us.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And this is Alan Fine for Insider Travel Report.